Blessings, my beautiful people. Welcome back to Juice is the New Tea. I am your host, Eleni, and I'm so excited for today's conversation. We have Angela joined with me today. She is the founder of the 343 Foundation, 343 Fund, and we will talk about grief. We will talk about navigating grief, finding your purpose, plant medicine, alternative healing, and you're such a badass, so I'm just so grateful that you're here. Like off the bat, like just great conversation, great energy as soon as you walked into the studio. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Aw, shucks.
Yeah.
You make me blush. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, the first time I met you, which I don't even remember, maybe like lifetimes ago, but when I first met you, shout out to Christina for connecting us. I just loved the conversation with you instantly. We met at one of your storefronts in Long Beach. And we connected, I think, with just like one intention of like connecting over cleansed, the juices. But the conversation just took a completely different route, a completely different, realm that I wasn't anticipating myself. But I feel like when you just meet kindred spirits, it just happens like that. So I wanna get into your work, your purpose, what you're about, everything that you've done, and how it all kind of started for you. So I think if I know my timeline correctly, you had an autoimmune disorder or disease. You were diagnosed with Lyme's. And at this time, your husband, Casey, was still with us, correct? He was kind of assisting you through that experience.
Yeah, he was participatory in his earthly body here when I first got diagnosed. That was 2018, just for a timeline.
2018, okay. And then we'll get into the specifics on your experience with Lyme's and just what that brought you in terms of the trajectory of your life and how you turned that into your work. But I think I want to dive first into losing your husband and that experience for you. Because I know personally for me, I lost my mom to cancer, and everything that you see here is a result of that experience. And I know likewise for you, right? So, losing a partner is one of the most profound experiences we'll ever go through. So I want to learn a little bit more about how you dealt with the grief and what grief has taught you over time.
Sure. Well, I lost my partner of just about 19 years.
Wow.
On June 17th, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 days shy of Father's Day and what would have been his 46th birthday. So it's the version of me that exists here today, sitting in front of you, is a completely different person than the woman or the girl who lost her life partner.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Oh, it was 4 years ago, right?
Almost.
2022. Wow. Still fresh.
It feels like it. Sometimes it feels so fresh, and God, when I look back at it, it feels like, how did I get this far?
Yeah, like you've lived so many lifetimes within the 4 years, because I feel like I was having this conversation the other day, like grief, healing, none of that is a linear experience, right? Like you feel like you've made peace with certain instances, and then you realize, okay, wait, no, I'm still triggered by this experience. But you have taken his loss and completely, you built so much from that. So if you want to tell us a little bit about kind of just that whole experience.
So when I lost him, I thought I was just at the top of life, but I'd really gotten to a pivotal point. I had just gotten through the Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff that was with it, all the other co-infections. And we just got our life back.
Yeah.
So we were on a trip. It was the first time my husband ever celebrated himself. But I, of course, didn't expect to lose him. We'd gone hiking that morning with the kids. We'd gone to this place called Slide Rock, and everybody just kind of participated in all these outdoor activities. And it was the quintessential perfect day. Perfect weather, perfect everything. And we just had a great morning. I laugh now. His last meal happened to be a bagel, and he's a New Yorker, and he had a North Carolinian bagel for his last meal. So stuff like that you get to reflect on. But the version when it happened, I died too. And I think that's a lot of times people don't understand that when you lose a core person, when you lose a root in your life, you become unearthed and you develop into something else. The me that developed was I started working. I started in my grief while very much still grieving and simultaneously working on my own grief. My work intersected. It transferred so that the paths crossed. My grief healing came a lot from what I learned when I was chronically ill, how to take care of my body. I knew what to do when he died. One of the things right here, this juice right here, this was juice was a huge part of smoothies and juice. My body wasn't reacting well as soon as he passed.
Yeah.
What happened was a tree fell on him, and he was sitting right next to me in a vehicle, and it took so much time for my mind and my body to catch up to the situation. And I'm not talking moments. I'm talking months.
Yeah.
It was processing what had happened because it just didn't understand. So much of grief is scientific too. We're in these bodies. My body did what it needed to do, what it could do for me. And then the rest was up to my mind and kind of what I was going to do. So building this organization was kind of my North Star that kind of kept me going.
Yeah, on behalf of him, because he was a firefighter. He was an FDNY firefighter. So yeah, so the 343 Fund explain that a little bit for those that are listening.
So through my healing journey, I had to find alternative healing.
Yeah.
I had no choice. Western medicine just didn't have any answers.
Yeah.
And I had done what I could for my body. And I turned to psychedelics to heal.
Yeah.
I don't take psychedelic journeys lightly, and you certainly won't see me like on a Friday night, like, but it has been a major part of my healing process. And my husband wholeheartedly supported that before psychedelics were being talked about on any podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's all the rage today, but it wasn't back then. And we found it because nothing else worked and I was going to die.
So I think we should backtrack a little bit, and because the diagnosis came before, you had suffered the loss of your husband. So, because hearing your experience, was it an immediate diagnosis with Lyme's, or it took you a while to get to that point?
So it was not immediate. I believe that I had gotten infected.
Yeah.
When I was 11 years old.
Okay.
I just developed this weird, you're lactose intolerant out of nowhere. I remember the moment it happened, what I was eating, everything. It's a core memory. And it was never explained. It was just, children develop these allergies. And I always thought that was really weird. And what we know today,
there's so much that goes into it, right?
I started having knee issues that were my right knee just always was pained, and they operated on me. They said it's from soccer and it's arthritis or
And you
whatever.
were 11 with arthritis?
I was 14 at that time.
Okay.
So they did 2 knee surgeries by that time, and it was just easy to say that these symptomatic things were these other things.
Yeah.
So that continued happening my whole life, where I was getting things injected into me, gels injected into me, cortisone shots, all these things. Personally, I think it was Lyme disease the entire time.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening for me was nothing that the doctors said made sense. They told me I had fibromyalgia and that I needed hip surgery and back surgery. And I didn't have the however many points of pain are required. I think it's like 9 or 11 points of pain are required for this fibromyalgia diagnosis. I had thousands. My whole body hurt.
Yeah.
And I looked fine.
Right.
You know?
But you knew deep down there was so much more going on.
There was so much going on,
Yeah.
and hormonally, everything was affecting it, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't take that into account when it comes to women and autoimmune conditions or chronic disease. Women have it harder because of the hormone fluctuation levels,
Right.
period.
Right.
I could chart on a month. I was going to have 5 good days a month, and it had to do with my cycle, and that was my window for life during the month.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I was dragging myself through. I had suicidal ideations. I just felt like I was just this financial burden to my family. And then I couldn't do what I could normally do work-wise to help provide for my family. And the stress on my husband was so intense. But he knew I was going to get it figured out.
Yeah.
He was like, listen,
Yeah.
I know who you are, and I know you're going to figure this out. And
Yeah.
he went in, and at the beginning, I thought he was delusional. I'm like, this man, like, he just believes in too much, you know? But he just believed in me, and he dragged me through life during
Yeah.
that time, and would often just pretend what was going on wasn't going on to not get me overly excited about my medical conditions. But I went to hell and back, and I am so grateful for the days I laid in that bed and could not get out, and all the suicidal ideations and all the panic attacks that I had from Lyme disease and all of the sores on my body, because I fought so hard to get back to my life.
Yeah.
That when the most stressful event that could ever potentially happen to a person, the death of your partner, of your life partner, happened to me, I was only because of the disease equipped to emotionally withstand.
Which is so wild how things like that happen in our lives, right? Like looking back on it, right? Like every little thing that happened or every big thing that happened ultimately built you into the person that you are. Like you had the resilience and the perspective, even though, you know, when he was there with you while you were going through all of the different and like the healing modalities that you found too, his almost like not wanting to what's the word, like acknowledge certain things about the illness just to keep you like mentally strong or just to keep you grounded, and how you were able to then use that experience too, like after his passing, you know, just I love it's like wild when you think about it.
I was literally standing there in the road. I'd crawled out the window of the vehicle that the tree was on. I was processing through, okay, he's going to die. He wasn't dead yet at that moment. And just standing in that road. And I remember being like, this cannot be happening because we fought so hard.
Yeah.
And now what? So I remember thinking about everything. And then the big part that happens in grief, and grievers don't talk about this often, but it's something that you'll know as a griever. The self-judgment that comes with every decision and thought that you have when you're grieving one of your roots is real.
Yeah.
And there's no playbook. Nobody says, oh, this is what you do when a tree falls on your husband. You know, I couldn't find that book.
Yeah. No, there's no rhyme or reason or no blueprint on how to navigate any of that.
And I know when you lost your mom, you probably had
I was 24, had no idea. No one else in my friend group in my life had gone through something like that. There was no cancer diagnosis around my immediate community. And then being like the age that I was, where everybody was kind of building or partying or doing their thing, like I was dealing with her in treatment and everything that came with chemo and radiation, and just like how it completely breaks down somebody on a physical and spiritual level. It was like unbelievable to witness, you know, and all the moments of like losing faith, but also then feeling strong because I was seeing her go through it and knew that there was a bigger purpose to all of this because I was so fortunate to have those kind of conversations with her. But yeah, like looking back on it now, you see how everything needed to happen to get you to this point where you're at now, able to have these experiences, planting seeds for other people that are going through it or going to go through it eventually. So it's just, it's honestly such a weird gift to have gone through that. And to see what I've created, what you've created through what would break some people, we've been able to build from that. So it's just, like my utmost respect to you, So taking it back to like the diagnosis, and I know when I first met, you told me all of the different kind of healing modalities or just like things that you guys explored together to try to get you to just be able to get out of bed, right? To just be able to like feel good for whatever that was. And I know that one of those healing modalities was the bee venom therapy, which I am so fascinated by.
Yeah.
Because bees, nothing in nature is accidental, right? Bees are so fascinating. I used to harvest honey back in the day, like maybe 5-6 years ago, had 60,000 bees in my backyard in Queens, and they're just the most magical little creatures, but they sting. And when they sting, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a healing purpose behind this venom that you've been able to explore. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So sure. I know that when I met you, we had a whole conversation about your bees.
Yeah.
I love your bees too,
Thank you.
And just everything that bees meant to you and your family as well. So it's kind of cool to talk about bee venom with you in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a year to start bee venom. Bee venom, I'm going to say, is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Really?
In my life.
Really?
Period.
You've done a lot of shit. So for you to say that, okay, tell me. I'm here.
Bee venom is no joke. At least it wasn't for my body. I had damage systemically. So a lot of people's Lyme disease isn't what mine was.
Mm-hmm.
I would walk into a doctor's office and they would say, "You're my worst case I've ever treated." So that was what my functional medicine doctor told me when we started my Western medicine Lyme protocol. So after I had done IV protocols, had a PICC line placed in my arm, daily antibiotics for years, over a year.
Which I'm sure did tremendous, impact on your gut and everything that stems from being on antibiotics like that.
Well, thank God for bees, right?
Whew.
So I started bee venom therapy, and it started rebuilding my body. What the bees do, bee venom does not discriminate. It destroys everything. So what does your body do? Well, it rebuilds. So I had forgotten in my sickness, I was just thinking I was going to take a pill and heal, right?
Yeah.
But I had Lyme, Babesia, Bartonella, Morgellons disease, mold toxicity, and Bartonella. And I was just kind of down for the count. So I rebuilt my whole system with the help of these bees. And then what I was doing while I was doing the bee venom therapy.
Yeah.
So it was eating Ayurvedically, bee venom therapy, saunas, multiple times. I think I was sitting in the sauna like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Because it was really all I could do. I couldn't exercise, but I could sweat because
So
the
important to
exercise you want the detox portion. Well, I could not do that.
Well, if you didn't have the energy to exercise, at least, being able to sit in the sauna and just sweat all of that out is so key. I tell people that all the time.
It really is.
Yeah. So was your husband stinging you with the bees?
Yeah, we were ordering bees from North Carolina.
Yeah.
We had hives that I got off Etsy.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Crazy.
Cute hives.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Etsy.
Yeah. But we had these hives and we had 2 separate ones because you know this.
Yeah.
You can't mix the groups because then everybody kills everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, one man wins.
Beef. It's beef in the hive.
So we had the 2 separate ones. My husband would take care of them. He was so adorable. He would talk to these bees. He would go give them water. He would get all organic everything to give the bees. And just, they were there for their end of life.
Yeah.
The beekeeper tries to get the ones that are nearing. If I'm telling a podcast story, I would say they gather the bees that are closer to the end of their cycle. That's not true, but they try to do that, right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is bees come here for very short period of time. And it really does seem that they're here to give to us.
Yes, well, certainly they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have been I've been working with the bees since then, with whether it's through honey, propolis, royal jelly. I take, if anything's coming on, 6 propolis a day.
Zaps it out.
Gone.
Done.
I just haven't been sick since I did bee venom therapy and
Amazing.
psychedelics and all of this. I don't know what the one thing is that I did that worked, but
I don't think it ever is just one thing. It has to be cumulative, you know?
I think so too. And people want to know the one thing, and it's not.
No.
So with what I did, I have not been sick. I haven't had one sick day since I started bee venom therapy in 2020.
So how many bee stings would you get on your body at a time?
Well, the standard protocol
Yeah.
is...
Because there has to be a max. Is there a limit? Or no? Or, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure.
I don't know. Yeah, you're like, whatever.
Okay, I'm going to say what I did, but people probably shouldn't do what I did.
Well,
okay.
You're here and you're healthy, so.
I'm here, but it's not recommended. I was doing, now granted, I was so bad. I was so bad off. I lost the ability to speak and say words from brain inflammation at some point.
I remember you telling me that you lost your teeth too.
Oh, I had a jawbone infection, and I ended up losing teeth from that. Through the whole thing, yeah. I had my breast implants taken out. I was doing anything I could. I had all the metal taken out of my mouth, like anything that I could do from a controlled environment perspective to set my body up to
just like almost bring it back to a baseline of nothing, like removing the metal, removing the implants, all of that, just kind
keeping
of bringing
alkaline.
keeping yourself back to like its most natural state, to just like give yourself a little bit of, okay, body, like just like I brought you back. I eliminated all of the artificial, stuff. Like try to just rebalance yourself,
So
right?
now I'm going to sting you.
Yeah, and now I'm just going to subject you to all of these bees stinging you.
Yeah, and I'm going to put bee venom through you, and then you can process that through.
Yeah.
So I was doing 19 to 26 stings from head to toe every
At a time?
fourth day at a time. I had been doing 10. That's a standard protocol.
Yeah.
Along my spine, and I actually ended up hiring a scientist from Connecticut, and he came down to my house and he taught me everything he knew about bee venom therapy, and he had been self-treating for arthritis, for rheumatoid arthritis. And he was telling me all these stories of these people that had gotten so much better on bee venom therapy. He was only providing knowledge, and then you're doing your own thing. But he was at least providing the knowledge, where to sting, why to sting. And he told me, I have really bad news for you. The reason why you've plateaued on your bee venom therapy, at this point I'd been doing it for probably 9 months. He said, you're not stinging yourself enough.
Jeez.
And I said, sir,
Excuse me.
please.
Damn.
So,
I've been stung by a bee like twice in my lifetime, and it sucks.
it sucks so bad.
It does.
It sucks. And when you have nerve damage and pain going on in your body, it sucks even worse.
I'm sure.
It feels like fire.
And to have 19 or 26 of those little suckers, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Did you blow up? Like, I mean.
The first time I ever stung myself, you do a testing. I did too, obviously. I couldn't just do one. But
to see how you respond.
you do a testing, and I couldn't move. I remember I had to go to bed.
Juice is the New Tea is brought to you by Cleanse Juices. For more information on 3-day juice cleanses and 4 flavor packs, visit iamcleanse.com. Use code Juice is the New Tea for 10% off all orders.
Yeah.
I had lost movement in my neck, and I couldn't even lift my arm. It was like this. And I was just like, I need to go to bed. It hammered me. Then I worked myself up to 10. Then we went, then 19, 26. It was just 19 to 26, really just feeling how far can I get today is where I would make my
Where's
decision.
my threshold for bee stings?
But my husband, it was so hard on him too, because stinging your wife with live bees, and oftentimes I was biting a pillow or whimpering. I would put music in and just try to get into a meditative state as best I could. And I would tell him, we had hand signals, and I'd be like, yep, move on or whatever. We had it down, or he'd watch my breath. But he would tear up,
Yeah.
I would see him crying when I was crying, and it would make me feel bad and be like, okay, be tougher, you don't want him to cry.
Yeah.
But it was really hard on both of us. And there was no time to stop V-venom therapy. That's the other part about
Do you
it.
still do it?
No, I had to stop doing. Oh, I remember when I stopped V-venom therapy. I'd done it for 15 months, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I stop?
Yeah.
And then no one knew. Can you stop? Can you stop? No one knows. And I just said, yes, I can stop.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm done with this. We're done here. I'm never going to do this again. Unless if I got cancer or Lyme flared up again, the first thing I would be order bees.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad that you just said that last thing because I agree with you. I guess, I mean, you've done so much and you said there's not been like one thing that has kind of impacted your health, one kind of thing. But what led you then to explore plant medicine? Was it during your time with Lyme's or was it after Casey and like the grieving process? Because I remember you told me about that plant that you found that specifically, like you had a connection with this plant. Tell me a little bit more about it. And then you looked up the properties and it was like specifically for grief, if I remember correctly.
which one? I have
gosh, I don't
connections with
remember.
all sorts of
Because you took me in I was seduced in your
Oh,
apothecary.
Bobinsana.
Was that what it was?
It was Bobinsana.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Bilbo Baggins from Lord of the Rings. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Bobinsana. Bobinsana, it's the Little Mermaid of the Amazon, I believe.
Is that what it's referred to?
Yeah, it's a really beautiful plant, and it has these gorgeous flowers. You would love the Bobinsana flowers.
Oh my
They look like-
gosh.
they're sprays of white and pink. They're just really pretty.
QG Floral is a luxury florist in New York with over 50 years of experience. They even provided us a special discount code you can use, the code CLEANBLOOM, for 10% off website orders over $125. So gift yourselves or your loved ones a beautiful arrangement.
Very cool plant. But yeah, it's often used during ayahuasca dietas.
Okay.
It's a heart healer.
Mm.
We sell it too.
Yeah.
In my apothecary
I know you were
store.
telling me about it, and then you like pulled it out from your beautiful wall of all of these herbs in glass jars, and I was like living for it. I'm like, what? Like, can I just move in here? Like, it was incredible. Yeah, but how did you come across it?
So through psychedelics.
Okay,
Is
okay.
how I found out about Bobinsana. The first thing I dabbled with in psychedelics is a root bark called iboga.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Gabon, Africa.
Okay.
And it's kind of all the rage right now.
Oh, I've never heard of it before. Tell me more.
It's what they're really using for veteran healing for PTSD. There's a study out that shows that it regrows, matter in your brain.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not
And they
regrowing
said we
matter in the
couldn't do
brain.
that.
Yeah, well, whatever they say, there's always, an alternative to that.
So I knew none of this when I found this root bark, but I was at the end of my my wits, my roots. I was at the end of my roots. And I started using this medicine that's legal in the States. It's called Cambo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using it pretty.
Frog medicine.
Frog medicine.
Yeah.
It's frog medicine.
That's
What
the
is
next thing that I want to do.
Oh, yeah, you got to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with a group of girlfriends and they were like begging me not to do it. And I'm like,
Oh,
no,
do it.
burn some things in my, and let me purge all of my demons and my toxins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Sign me up. Let me
it's
record it.
It's the second hardest thing I've ever done next to V-venom.
Really? Damn, if that's coming from you, then the pressure's really on.
I would
That's
do it though.
intense.
It's 10 minutes of hell, 10 minutes of hell.
Exactly. That's kind of like what I was thinking when the first psychedelic experience I ever had was DMT. I had never even done Molly, mushrooms. I went right into completely leaving my body for 12 minutes, and I don't even know if I should say that, but it was profound to say the least. But I now want to dabble into the combo because I just feel like it's 10 minutes. I can't necessarily commit to ayahuasca of like 8 to 12 hours being confronted with all of my shadow. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Maybe one day. But the idea of like it being like short and sweet, like an in and out
Girl,
with it.
do you do 5-MeO DMT?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be fine with anything you do from now on. You're fine.
That was all. I've only done it once, and it was a year after my mom passed. What a mind blowing.
Yeah.
And my intention of doing it was I wanted to connect with my mom's spirit because still at the root of everything that I do, that's always like I want to bridge the gap a little bit more. But I know my mother is within me now, knowing 11 years later what I know now about grief and just energy and spiritual, connection. And essentially my experience was her leading me through her experience of dying. And it was mind blowing to just like the ultimate takeaway from that was that there is no separation. Like when she was kind of leaving her physical, she was immersing herself into me and my sister. And my sister was there for my experience. So when I came out of it, my sister was the first face that I saw, but it wasn't her face, it was mine. And then it would like switch. Oh, it was what a journey.
Oh, girl. You
Yeah.
know, and I always like to tell everybody you were on drugs, But you know what I like from this? I like from this medicine? It can help us repattern our thoughts. So
Yeah.
you're stuck in this loop. My mom died. I'm never
Yeah.
going to see her again.
Exactly.
And then you have this profound experience of 5-MeO
like,
DMT,
she is
and you're
with
like, my
me.
mom is
Yeah,
immersed in my
she is
sister
within
and
me.
I can
Exactly.
do life now,
Yeah, like
And I think,
it healed. I don't want to say it healed me completely, but it gifted me such perspective that like there, I don't need to worry. Like she didn't go anywhere essentially. Like she is now within me, which that just amped my power and my presence and my aura and my frequency up because now I have that badass Taurus woman within me. Pff, say less. Like buckle up, guys.
I love that you just brought this up. Okay, two things. 5-MeO DMT.
Yeah.
After my husband died,
Yeah.
that was my medicine.
Yes.
That like just helped me with that. I'm going to give a disclaimer. Very difficult medicine to sit with. It can produce a non-dual awakening. You need to have a trusted guide and support
Yes.
and a psychedelic therapist
Yes.
if you want to interact because you're going to have a lot to download and unpack from that. Okay, so that said, the other thing that you brought up that's really cool, the embodiment of your mother post-death. That's a thing and that happens. I feel the same thing happen. Aside from any psychedelic revelations, just the way that my body feels inside there, my husband is embodied in me.
Yeah.
And there's things that I can do now that I couldn't do before he died.
Yes.
And things that I could do, but I'm way better at
After.
now that
Yep.
I'm going to tell you one thing is my endurance riding a bicycle. My husband always rode his bike. He rode it to his firehouse. He had we live in Long Beach, New York. He would ride it from Long Beach, New York to Rockaway, New York. Every tour he could. And it didn't matter what the weather was.
Amazing.
And I feel like that has been something that's become a part of me since he passed away. When I ride my bike, even if I'm like, I'm really too tired to do this right now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My legs are like, no, we're going to
Keep
go.
going.
Yeah.
You just feel it's almost like, do you ever see that movie Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, like when Christopher Lloyd, like he just like gives them the extra oomph on the field. Like he just like smacks their ass and they just go. It's like, that's how I feel. It's just like, I now have the most powerful angel, like on my corner, my shoulders, everything. And I just, like the little downloads also too, like the little things that you hear where you're like, okay, I know that wasn't necessarily me. That was just some type of little bit of guidance from her that's just reminding me like, no, I can do this. Like I absolutely got this.
I didn't think I could live one day on this earth without my husband. And I think I had told myself and him that endless times throughout our marriage. But everybody can do anything. And I think that's one of the things that we forget. Even back from when I was doing the bees broke down everything in my body that was good, bad, and my body knew what to do. Your body knows what to do. So if you can get your mind to kind of come along
Yeah.
or distract it.
Yeah.
You know, meditation was a big part of my my healing as well.
Yeah.
So being able to remove my mind even was very helpful. Then, if you can do that, then you can let your body heal and let your central nervous system just really do its thing.
How much do you think of it as like healing as mental, like your mind versus physical? Like how much do you think like it's about keeping your mind right?
Oh.
Yeah, versus because there's also like, you know, with Joe Dispenza.
I was just thinking Joe Dispenza when you said that.
Yeah, because I read your mind.
Yeah. So clearly
we're connected.
It's 50-50.
Right? Because
I think the mind, it might be
Is
be
it
90-10.
90?
Mind over your body.
90% mental, huh?
I think it is.
Because his story is fascinating. He broke his back in a bicycle accident, was face down, healing for what, like 9 months, 15, something insane, and was and he was a chiropractor, and he was visualizing every muscle, tendon, ligament of the spine, everything of the spine, visualizing that coming back together. And they were telling him he was never going to walk again. He was never going to do XYZ. Now he is, I love to call him Daddy Joe. He's Daddy Joe. He's Dr. Joe Dispenza, meditation guru. I mean, he's incredible, right? Like
His story was actually what inspired me to heal. I remember the day I watched the Heal documentary.
Wild.
I was laying in bed. Woe is me. God is punishing me, you know, just in full victim mode, which will do nothing to progress your healing.
Right.
And I watched the Heal documentary and I hear his story. And I think he was like in another triathlon 12 weeks after that or
No,
something.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I
Whoa.
could be making that up. I do that.
Okay.
But it feels like if
Maybe
anyone
in one
could have-
dimension,
but
who knows?
I think he might have been. I don't know. Look, his story's crazy.
Yeah.
But he healed his whole body. They told him he had to have the surgery. He said, if you told anyone else, I would recommend that they do that, but not me. And he went home and he meditated, putting his spine together in his mind from top to bottom.
Insane.
Hours a day. And
Insane.
he did it.
Insane.
So I said, if that
Magician.
man
Yeah.
can do that, I didn't know who he was at the time. So I kind of was like, if this dude could do that, like,
well, he's having his moment
so
now.
can
I
I.
feel like he was in 2020, 2019. He was just kind of coming up and out. I don't know. And now I love to see it. Like he's very impactful and he's out there. His meditations are interesting for me. I have not really found one that I truly resonate with, but his story and the way that he expresses and talks about like the brain and, you know, thinking the thoughts, like, it has changed my life, but yeah,
Same. Here's to Joe.
Here's to
Cheers
Joe.
to
Here's
Joe.
to Joe.
Daddy Joe.
How do you, so given everything that you've been through, I don't know if there's anything more you want to share. I mean, the conversation, the topic of psychedelics, we haven't had anybody on the show that is willing to dive in. So I don't know if there's
We can
more
go.
that-
Let's go.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I found was iboga. I was doing that cambo, and the guy combo, potato.
Yeah, potato. Hey.
All right. So he suggested it to me. He said, "Hey, you're really messed up here, girl. Maybe you want to take it to this." And I said, "What is this?" And he tells me it's a root bark, and I'm gonna have to eat all this root bark, and then I'm gonna be blasted out of my mind or whatever for
Let's do
however many
it.
hours or whatever. And I said, "Well,
Sign me up.
I feel like killing myself right now, so it can't get worse. So let's try it."
Like,
It
what
was
do I have to lose?
$1,500 as opposed to this treatment I was going to do in Germany that was tens of thousands of dollars more.
Yes.
So I chose the root bark option, and I have slept every single night of my life since then, unassisted. With regardless of what's going on in my life, I can tell my mind, you're done thinking about everything for today. Go to sleep. And it works. So I've also absolved my addiction issues. I love myself. I feel like that's a big one for iboga. It brings you, it's the root of all man. It's the root of healing. And we are working tirelessly to try to get this to the States. So right now we take 200, I've taken over 200 first responders through my organization. Not me
Amazing.
personally.
Amazing.
Through my organization. the Casey Skudin 343 Fund, to access ibogaine treatments, which ibogaine is an alkaloid that comes from the iboga plant. And they are getting all sorts of absolutions from TBIs, PTSD, substance use disorder. And it's, if you want your life back, you can get it back. There's people that just want to take a pill and they don't want to do the hard work. You will not heal. You can sting yourself with all the bees you want. If you don't want to heal, if you want to stay stuck, and a lot of people grasp on to the unhealed identity of themselves or the sick
100%.
version.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm safe here. I feel okay here.
Yeah.
And they can't fathom that there's a well version
They've
of
built
them.
an entire personality around the idea of being ill and not wanting to take accountability, because that's harder, right? And that requires more.
God, I don't know if it is, but when you
Well,
can't,
for some people, when they can't grasp, when their mind and their perspective and their vision is that limited,
I think it would have been so hard for me to stay sick.
Yeah.
Oh, it would have been exhausting and financially draining and heartbreaking. But it is a choice. I know that some people out there that are sick are going to get mad at me for saying that. But I triggered a lot of people with Lyme disease with my healing, and in the walls of the Facebook rooms for these things, these mold groups, these Morgellons groups, these Lyme disease groups, the people inside the walls, they're not for each other. You know, they're for just, how do I get mine and get out? And then it's very triggering to them when they're seeing other people getting better. Not all of them. Okay, I mean, I was in there, and I was for everybody getting better, you know. But you would have people come after you when you would say you were doing certain things, or you're not an inspiration, or anything, stuff like that, or come bully you online, and you have to also be able to get past that if you're information sharing.
Yeah, I also just feel like I wish that people, and it's my intention or my hope with these types of conversations, and just the way that I live my life and the messaging that I share is like, at the root of it, if someone's success, right, or their healing, or whatever accolade whatever level they hit, you lose nothing by being genuinely supportive and happy for that person. And if you could look at that possibility as a mirror for what's possible in your own life, what a better way to live. You know what I mean? Like, what a cooler, easeful way to just like move through life, being like, oh, that happened to that person in close proximity to me. It could fucking happen to me.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
I started my first retail store because another woman started the store, and I was inspired by her.
Yeah.
She was a stay-at-home mom. Her husband was a police officer. And then she wasn't a stay-at-home mom. She was working another job.
Yeah.
And then her husband was a police officer. And then she was actually, she was at home and then running her retail store. And I thought, well, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I had just never thought I could do it.
Right.
But then when you see someone else doing it, you're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I can do this too. And that's the truth. So anyone, to the point, it's a choice. If you want to stay stuck and you want to feed that wolf, you feed that wolf, I wanted out.
Yeah.
So,
you wanted to like live your life because you knew that there was a bigger purpose for you.
Totally.
Yeah. You once said in a interview that I listened to of yours that with plant medicine, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but integration is a choice. What do you mean by that?
The people that want to lay on the mattress and take a pill, and they're like, it didn't work for me.
Right.
You didn't work for you.
Yeah.
You have to work for yourself. So people are, what's integration? What's integration? Integration is every day for the rest of your life. It's just, that's it.
How do you listen to your body now versus when you did before you had your diagnosis? Like, what's changed in that regard?
I didn't pay attention to my body. I didn't know that there was cues that actually came from tuning into my body, or that there was signals. Okay, I'm going to take this one's very cool.
Yeah.
There's an immune response on basically your bra strap area on the back of your back. So sometimes when your system is very, very early on triggering a bug, it'll itch back there. It's an itch you can't scratch back there. And it's an early immune warning sign.
Whoa.
So of course, I go take 6 propolis.
As soon as you start to feel that itch that you
Yeah.
can't, you're like,
It's
what?
an itch you can't scratch. You'll be like all day.
Whoa.
You'll be like, oh, why? And even if you scratch it, it's still there. And yeah, it's a trigger.
Is that like
So-
across the board for people, or is that just something you've learned about yourself?
No, I think it's
Like
a
a-
signal. It's one
Whoa.
of the signals. There's all sorts of signals in the central nervous system.
Yeah.
Early warning signals to other things. So that's an example of one.
Yeah.
So I'm able to tap more into those and read my body more.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying attention to my body before. I was only paying attention to like, what does this look like? You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to anything on the inside. So I'd hit the gym hard, you know, I could get away with eating like crap, drink on the, you know, on the weekends and in the evenings and whatever. And then not really taking care of what's going on in here. And now everything I put into my body, I'm aware, okay, this is a choice. I'm doing this for me. This is either fueling me or or giving me something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just more aware of my choices and how I'm going to feel as a result of the choices I'm making as
Yeah.
well. So
For sure. Going back to plant medicine a little bit, overall, I guess, how has it supported you? I mean, do you still integrate? Because part of the work that you do is bringing that, making it accessible to essential workers. How, for you, with everything that you've experienced, altered you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally?
I'm a completely different human.
Yeah.
I had a long, hard time mourning the girl that I was, you know. I miss her still.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved my old life.
Mm-hmm.
I get tear up thinking of it. But there's no choice. You know, I'm here now. I love this version of myself as well.
Yeah.
I'm getting to know it more and more. But yeah, and it's okay to mourn the girl you were. That's okay. You know, I think it's important.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I feel that because I think in my own experience there was like a little bit. I feel like I'm carefree in a lot of instances. Like I do just let things kind of go. It is what it is. Like, you know, you have to have that level of, you said it when you walked in, surrendered to your Uber driver on the way over here. Like you just sometimes have to just like let things play out for you. But I think that before I went through everything that I had experienced with my mom, her diagnosis, and just like navigating life with the idea of like without my mom and still like making peace with the spiritual connection that I have with her, but also like still wanting her physical presence, right? Like I'm not completely 100% healed from that, right? But there was a part of me, and I hear you in terms of grieving, like the older version of you, of just like, there were just so many things that I was just able to do because I felt like I hadn't experienced loss. Like I hadn't, like I just kind of was like, oh, things not like rainbows and butterflies, everything was great and groovy and perfect. But there was definitely just like a part of me that almost just felt like anything could happen and I'll be okay because my mom is here kind of thing. And then just the ways that I had to grow up so fast and seeing it's still to this day, sometimes I'm like, I see my girlfriends that have such close relationships with their moms or they can call their mom for everything. It's like, I had to become that person for myself. And I'm so grateful for that because it's made me into the woman that I am today. Like, I don't want to take any of that back. But there are some times where it's like, damn, like, I wish that people understood how to appreciate your loved ones while they're here, first and foremost. But, you know, to really just like, savor the relationships that you have, you know, and like really learn from the people while you have them here in the physical. You know, there's like moments of that where I wish that I would have like taken more from my mom, but you know, she's still sprinkling her little bits of guidance.
she embodied you.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
more do you want?
You know, like it's totally. But you know, like there's still, I hear you. I don't think a lot of people talk about grieving the version of yourself before you have these realizations, whether it's going through your own grief, whether it's a healing journey, whether it's just waking up to like the injustices that exist in Western medicine or our world, all of the things, right? There's just like now you walk around with your 3 eyes wide open and you're like, I can't, you know, there's just certain things you just.
Well, we were talking about integration, and it's so interesting because part of it is we leave these versions behind and we kind of just shut the door sometimes without going back to acknowledge them. A lot of times in healing, it's that we left our child self behind, that version of ourselves. And a lot of it is about going back and acknowledging. And you see grown men, on the street sometimes acting like children, right? Well, they're reverting back to where they are, where their unhealed version is. We go, you're only going back to the unhealed version of you when you're in crisis mode. So a lot of times you see that. But so I think it is important to talk about the way you were and who you were and honor it, even for me.
Yeah.
Now the lens of grief. I used to sit in a box, and the box was anything I wanted it to be, right? You could make it your little house, and you play in there when you're a kid, and you don't know your parents are paying bills or stressing out about anything. You don't know what exists for your world to exist, right?
Right.
And that's kind of like grief when you start losing things like, you're in a box playing in your little house, and then you realize, whoa, all this other stuff exists here, and it's a new lens that you have, and you still can see the girl inside the box playing in the house, but you're also the person stressed out, paying all the bills, and all of that. So it all exists together, and I think it's also rad that we as humans get to experience these deaths of selves and this evolution continually, because I don't know if this resonates with you, but I tell people all the time, I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm here, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes feel like I have a general idea of what I want my life to look and feel like, but I don't really have too much of like an end goal. I just feel like anything is possible. And I knew certain milestones were going to happen. Like I knew eventually in my life I was going to create something like Juices the New Tea, like the show, the juices, like the intention behind everything that I do somehow stems back to ultimately my experience of like losing my mom, right? Like everything from yoga to sound healing, like those were practices that she integrated just to give herself peace of mind. Reiki, she would listen to Tibetan sound bowls just to like for her meditation when she was, going through the thick of chemotherapy and radiation, and juicing to just get nutrients into her body during chemo and radiation. Like all these little things that we kind of explored and learned together through her experience. Like I'm grateful that I was able to create that, build it on a larger scale, and, just bring it to people, whether it's, just in any way, shape, or form, I want to talk a little bit about the 343 Fund. And we touched obviously on the work that it is that you do, but if somebody wanted to work with you in that capacity, how would they go about doing that?
So we have, if somebody wants to come through, if they're a first responder.
Yeah.
And they're like, I need help. They can go to the 343fund.org and fill out a grant application. That is step one. And then we also have, if there's any questions, you can email us through that website as well. And if you want to donate, you can, of course, click to donate. We have this awesome thing that we were doing for first responders where it's $3.43 a week. It's less than a cup of coffee in New York anyway. I don't know how much coffee is anywhere else. But it's less than a cup of coffee, and it helps support first responders post-journey, pre and post-journey for their integration. A lot of times people think they're just, all I have to do is get to this facility and take this psychedelic and then everything's going to be better. But no, it is what we talked about. It's what else are you doing to support yourself with the pre and post. So that's what we do for first responders. We send them in groups together, and we see huge changes from these people. So that's the best way to get involved, just 343fund.org. And they can also message us on Instagram or any social media platform.
I love it. And the work the plant medicine or the experiences that they have, I remember hearing you say once that you'll never lead somebody down a path with a plant medicine or a psychedelic that you haven't already experienced in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yes, true.
Yeah.
I have a lot of psychedelic journeys under my belt.
What is a way to prepare going into a journey with psychedelics what is like one or two kind of practices that somebody can do, and then giving them space for that integration that you mentioned? What's a little bit of your own personal practice before you go into like ceremony with plant medicine?
I like to prepare my body. I don't want anything in the way between myself and the medicine. So even a lot of service providers too, they'll, they'll serve whatever food they're serving, but I'll kind of intentionally choose what I'm going to eat for the journey. I also, I'm really good at reading my body personally. So I will prepare what I intuitively know I need to do for my body prior to going. But yeah, cleaning up your diet, getting your hormone levels checked. It's a huge one.
Yeah.
Get your hormone levels checked. Get your blood panels done so that you know that nothing that's going on in your body. I'll just take a real simple one that happened for me. I had low iron, so I was beating myself up that I didn't have any energy. I was feeling depressed. It was my iron level. So if you can go ahead and regulate the things that you can regulate in your body before you go to a psychedelic journey, you won't be blaming the medicine for something that maybe didn't work that was on a biological level.
Interesting. Whoa.
That's my pro tip.
Damn. And then after, like, how much should somebody, like, I guess for me, do you allow for space? How much time do you allow after you've had an experience to just sit with your experience, process? What's that kind of like post care like for you?
It depends on what, for me personally.
Like what it is.
Oh God, I'm right back in the jungle, girl.
Yeah.
I just go right back in. Okay, but
I know, aren't you like going? Where are you going? You're traveling somewhere soon.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
This year already, I've been to Gabon, Peru, Mexico, Canada.
Damn.
I think that's it for
All right.
the countries.
That's it.
Yeah, but it's all for work though.
Yeah,
It's for
no, of
psychedelics.
course.
Yeah. No, not of course. I want to travel for fun too. But yeah, I forgot what you even asked me.
Honestly, I did too, because now I'm just thinking about being in Peru.
I'm
with
thinking
you.
about
I'm just thinking
vacation.
about Peru, like going to Machu Picchu, like, doing a little ayahuasca in the jungle if I'm ready for that. And
Hey, I go every
Woo.
January to Peru. I run a retreat. Or
my
I don't run a
gosh.
retreat. I
Let's go.
join in on a
Let's
retreat
go.
in the Sacred Valley.
I'm sure we could write it off. It's market research.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Come. We do a dieta, 11 days.
11 days.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. That's light work, girls.
Light work. 11 days. Wow. One day for sure, I feel like.
No, I shouldn't say it's easy. Psychedelics
Yeah.
are hard,
Yeah.
Self-discovery is hard, And it's individual to people. What do people need for support post-journey? That was your question. You asked me, what do I do to support post-journey? And I said, I do so much self-care throughout the week. I have like a pretty regimented self-care protocol.
Yeah.
And I stay on that just to make sure that I'm
Tell us a little bit about
regulating my
that.
body.
Also, what's your skincare regimen? Because your skin is flawless,
Well,
sister.
I discovered the CO2 laser. Have you done this yet?
No.
Okay. Ladies,
what's
don't
this?
don't worry about anything else. Go get CO2 laser.
Where are we going, and do we have a discount code?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there's discount codes everywhere. There's CO2 laser places. I was actually down at an Ibogaine clinic, and everybody's skin down in Mexico was looking glorious. So I asked them what they were doing, and they were doing the CO2 laser. So I did that. I do work really hard on my skin though.
Stunning.
I don't wear makeup unless I need to, or unless I want to. I shouldn't say that. I don't wear it every day because I try to keep it open. And yeah, just wash your face. There was a point in my healing when I
So you're telling me that the get ready with me 9-step skincare routines that I see influencers do on Instagram is bullshit? So just wash your face? Is it that
I'm going to tell
simple?
you what I do.
Yeah, tell. Okay.
I'm so bad at washing my face.
Well, that was like the number one takeaway I got from my mother was wash your face every night before you go to bed.
So I try
Makeup
to do
off.
that. Your mom's voice is in my head every night, but sometimes
There you go.
she's not loud enough. I take a Dr. Gross pad.
Okay.
Ironically, it's Dr. Gross.
Dr.
Because I'm
Gross?
not washing my face, just taking a Dr. Gross pad. And
What a name. Yeah.
I just wipe it down, and then I don't use the neutralizing pad.
But I also feel like it's probably, if you're still in the sauna,
I'm in the sauna all the time.
Right. So that's also too. Like the sauna is such a that is an essential for glowing skin.
I drink tons of tea, juices.
Amen.
I mean, gotta drink the juice.
Yeah.
Lots of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a super dirty. Sometimes I have a dirty diet. Live your life, people. But I try to keep it clean.
Yeah.
With the Dr. Gross pad.
All right. So as we begin to close out our time together, a little bit of a closing question for you to kind of like encapsulate, which I feel like you've already dropped so many gems and little, tidbits here. But I guess if there was one thing that you could say to somebody that's navigating grief or a chronic illness that they just can't seem to get to the root of, or they're struggling with that 90% mind over matter, what would be one thing that you could share with somebody dealing with that?
I was laying in my bed, covered in sores from head to toe that wouldn't heal, with handfuls of hair falling out, 7 teeth missing, full body inflammation. And I was told that I was going to be like that for 5 to 9 years. I took my healing into my own hands, and 2 years later, I phoenixed from that person laying in bed. You are never stuck. There is always a road, and everything moves. I even remind myself, like, I would have panic attacks, and I would remind myself there was a time I didn't have them, and then now, and I would just remember, okay, you're not always like this. And I feel like that, just to tell yourself that there's movement, and what direction do you want to go in? So,
amen.
Just keep
it
on
up.
going.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep
honey.
on going, and you too can have glowing skin. I mean, the sores can close.
You're the best. You're the best. Thank you. Tell the people where they could find you, how they could work with you. I know you touched on that a little bit, but anything that you want to just kind of share, shout out right now.
Yeah, if you're in Long Beach, New York,
yes,
you got to come to the Codfish Cowboy, or near Apothecary, or the Space Cowboy Coffee Company. Those are my businesses.
Taking over Long Beach.
And then 343fund.org, of course, if you're a first responder or you want to help first responders. And Rocks in Her Pockets on Instagram.
You're the best. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Great conversation, great energy. You're a Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Plant medicine all the way, like Earth Mama Goddess. You guys are the GOAT. Like the Capricorns, just shout out. I have such an affinity for Capricorn women. Like, thank you so much for being here, for your energy, for your time. I really appreciate it. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you so much for sharing in the energy, and we'll catch you next time on Juice is the New Tea. QG Floral is a luxury florist in New York with over 50 years of experience. They even provided us a special discount code you can use, the code CLEANBLOOM, for 10% off website orders over $125. So gift yourselves or your loved ones a beautiful arrangement.
Juice is the New Tea is brought to you by Cleanse Juices. For more information on 3-day juice cleanses and 4 flavor packs, visit iamcleanse.com. Use code JUICEISTheNewT for 10% off all orders.